Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. Hey, everybody, it's Cindy here. Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast, and happy Valentine's Day for those of you who like to acknowledge this day that seems to be carved out for people who love each other, right? It's the holiday of love that may be a Hallmark card holiday. I don't know, but anyway. Often those of us who are in romantic partnerships or marriages or dating someone, we acknowledge our feelings of affection for them on this day. So, of course, I'm doing the same thing. My husband and I have a date planned for the evening that I think will be a lot of fun. And I always love to buy him some juicy card and a little thoughtful gift or something. But we got married in this last year, since last Valentine's Day. And we created some vows together to have that we said to each other in our wedding. And I was reading those over recently, my vows to him. And I thought this was really interesting. So I'm going to read my vows to him and then I'll continue the discussion. So excuse me, I say to him, I give you my promise that from this day forward, you will never walk alone. Whatever door we come to, we open it together, hand in hand. I vow to help us develop as individuals and as a team, to grow along with you, to simply love you when our love is simple and when it is an effort, to see how wonderful you are and remind you of that when you have forgotten. I vow to always give you the patience that love demands, the energy to keep this love alive, and the willingness to compromise, to be forever faithful, to show up for you every day, and to never stop trying. You are my best decision, my greatest friend, my proudest moment, right now and my right now and my always will be. For years, I have been making my way to you, and I am here to stay. Woo! I love that. I feel like it's really powerful and beautiful and a great reminder for me on how I want to show up as a loving partner in a relationship, for sure. And I don't always do that. I make mistakes, I go down the slippery slope sometimes and can come across quite have unloving thoughts in my mind. And so I think I'm going to make a point to get these vows out more often and read them over. But as I was thinking of all of you, and this whole love fest that Valentine's Day is, I was thinking, wow, has anyone ever written vows to themselves before? One of the things that I bump into as a therapist and coach, primarily of women, is the struggle that women have to really, truly love themselves and to devote their lives to themselves and their dreams and their health and their well-being and their joy and all kinds of things. And so as I was thinking about that, I thought, I'm going to read my vows to Ed again and think about it from the perspective of what if I said these things, vowed these things to myself. And so I'm going to read them again, and I want you and I to kind of break it down as I'm going through this. So see what comes up for you as you hear the messages of these words in my vows, and see if you can hear a way that you could turn them into vows of commitment toward yourself and your own well-being, showing love to you. So here's the first line. I give you my promise that from this day forward, you will never walk alone. Okay, so side note, if what if, I know there are times where you feel in midlife very alone or lonely. And I'm thinking, wow, what can we do to really address that loneliness so we feel certain that we're not alone, even if we are quote unquote by ourselves, right? Because I happen to believe that we're never alone, but I know a lot of you experience loneliness because I hear that feedback a lot. And so what can you vow to yourself so you never feel alone in the lonely way again? Whatever door we come to, we open it together hand in hand. I vow to help us develop as individuals and as a team to grow along with you. So, what if you vowed to yourself to help yourself develop as a person and to grow? I don't know if all of you make that intention, but we don't just grow automatically, right? We want to intentionally make our personal growth a priority. And that's the work I do with people is personal development, personal growth, where you really feel like you are becoming more and more and more the best version of yourself as a human being. So, wow, wouldn't it be great if you could vow to yourself, yes, I'm going to be a continued work in progress, always striving toward my best. Here's the next few lines. To simply love you. What if you said to yourself, I'm simply going to love you when loving myself is simple and when it's an effort to see how wonderful I am and remind myself that when I have forgotten, right? So to really make loving ourselves a priority on the great days and the tough days and noticing things that we can love and appreciate about ourselves, reminding ourselves of that when we are having a stretch where we may have forgotten how wonderful we actually are. I vow to always give you, what if you vowed to yourself, to always give yourself the patience that love demands, the energy to keep the love alive, the self love alive, and the willingness to compromise. Okay, so wouldn't it be great if we vowed to give ourselves these things as well? Patience and energy for the love and all of that. Okay, last paragraph, to be forever faithful. Well, what would it look like if we were forever faithful to ourselves, honoring ourselves all the time and not putting other people's agendas in front of our own, or not lying to ourselves about what's going on or what's needed, but instead being honest and dealing with ourselves with integrity and faithfully loving ourselves and showing up for ourselves every day and to never stop trying. You are my best decision, my greatest friend, my proudest moment, my right now, and my always will be. Wow. What if we looked at ourselves instead of another person as our own best decision, our greatest friend, our proudest moment, our right now, and our always will be? I mean, after all, we are the only single person in our lives that we will be in relationship with for every day of our living our life on earth, right? Every day from start to finish to our life on earth, we are in a relationship with ourselves, and no one else is witness to that like we are all every single day. My right now and my always will be, right? There's that lifelong relationship with the self. For years, I've been making my way to you and I am here to stay. So, what if we said, for years, I have been, journeying with you, making my way to your best self, and I'm here to stay with you for the long haul, to honor you as myself, to be with you, to be for you, to always take good care of you, right? And here to stay. So it's an interesting idea, isn't it? Not to take away from our commitments or agreements or vows with other people, our partners or spouses or whomever, our companions, but to look at also vowing to be very good to ourselves as well, and making sure that our own growth, our own state of being, our own worthiness is a priority in our lives. Because the truth is, and I just said this to a coaching client earlier this morning, the truth is when we focus on what in our best understanding is going to be the best path for us to take, or the best decisions for us to take, or the best moves for us to make as individual women, as people, when we honor what's we believe is best for us, it's going to be best for everyone around us, whether they like it or not, whether they support it or not, whether they're afraid of it or not. It will be what's best for them. For example, some people want you to provide everything for them and show up for them every time they want your attention, or they want you to live your life a certain way, or they want, they have ideas for you, right? And they communicate those ideas and they expect you to show up a certain way. And if you keep doing that, even if it's not really aligned with who you know you are, or how you know you want to be, it's going to drain you. And when you are drained, are you available for the people that you love in your life? No, not as available as when you feel fulfilled, energized, and well cared for. But how cared about you feel is mostly up to you. And so that brings me to another point that is so important in terms of loving ourselves enough to show up in a really healthy way in our relationships with other people, our partnerships with other people. So Gay Hendricks and Katie Hendricks are a married couple who also do work with couples and have for decades. And they have this book called The Conscious Loving Ever After, how to be conscious in our loving of other people and having partnerships with them. And one of the things they have vowed in their relationship is to have a blame-free relationship. Can you imagine having a blame-free relationship with your romantic partner or spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, companion, whatever you call your love person, those of you that are in relationships? A blame-free relationship where you are not blaming them for your discomfort, for your frustration, for your anything. Now that is a stretch, I know, in a lot of our minds, right? So let me give you an example. So they talk about, Gay and Katie talk about when we get into blame or criticism, then we are adopting the role of victim and we are making our partner the role of villain, right? So we become the victim and they become the villain. So we think we're right, we think they're wrong, and that's the position in which we're approaching, right? We're approaching an issue or whatever. So let me give you an example of me doing this recently, okay? So recently I was talking to my husband and I was wanting to find a time in our calendars that worked for us for me to have a group of people come out to our house for me to provide kind of a retreat-like experience for them. This is an organization I belong to and I am now the head of that organization, and I wanted to to schedule a time, a pretty big block of time that I could have the group come out for me to, give them this retreat like experience out here. Well, so I was saying, let's look at our calendars and you let me know, what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and when I could have these people out either for like a 4 hour block of time in the evening or like maybe a Saturday afternoon or whatever, and let me know. And his response to that was eventually on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the month of April, you can do whatever you want because I have soccer reffing to do. Okay, so what he was doing was informing me of his schedule in April, which is what I asked him to do. He was saying, but he worded it saying, well, on Tuesdays and Thursday nights in April, you can do whatever you want. And maybe you know what's coming. My history, my triggers, my everything, all my buzzes and whistles went off because I thought, oh, so he's giving me permission to do what I want on those nights of the month. And I don't need his permission to do anything. This is really where my head went. So I was angry, like I was upset, and I called him out on it. Like, I'm like, do you hear how you just spoke to me? It sounded like to me that you just thought you had to give me permission to do what I want on Tuesdays and Thursdays in April. And you don't need to give me permission to do anything. And what about the other days? And I can do whatever I want, whether you're busy or not. I mean, I just went down like this slippery slope of being very offended by his response to me. So I was blaming him for my discomfort. I was making myself a victim to his supposed controlling behavior and making him out to be a villain. Okay, now, as you can imagine, this was not good, what I did. This wasn't good at all. So I was attempting, whether it was conscious or unconscious or what, I was making him wrong and making me right. And I wanted him to apologize and I wanted him to state it differently. And I wanted all of this stuff. And this is what we do, isn't it? At times, I'm sure I am not alone in this behavior. And so he was like, no, he was like, no, I was just letting you know like what my schedule was in April. You asked me. And I was like, no, you weren't. You made it sound like you were trying to give me permission and what I can and can't do. Blah, blah, blah. So round and around we went because I wouldn't let up. I would not let up, thinking that if I kept at it, he would understand how he sounded to me and he would fix it. So what Gay and Katie Hendricks would have probably said to me if they were coming into the moment of that, they probably would have said, hey, you're blaming, you're criticizing, and you're putting yourself in a victim situation, which means you don't have any power in this situation. So let's shift you over, Cindy, into responsibility, into taking responsibility for what you're feeling instead of pointing your finger at him. Okay. So I want you to think about times that you do this, something similar, where you end up upset in a relationship with another person. And if you want to expand beyond romantic relationships in your mind with this, please do. It's absolutely fine. We do this. We can have these dynamics with anyone that we care about, right? And see where you might be putting yourself in a victim role and putting the other person in a villain role, where you're blaming them for something, when really what's going on is your point of power and your point of being able to do something about it, have an ability to change the situation, is in your own heart and in your own mind and in your own behavior. Okay. So eventually I apologized to him for, I said, oh, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, acting like that. And I get that you were just trying to tell me, you were trying to answer my question. And I recognized in myself that thinking that I'm not in control of my life is a triggers in me a very unsettling, destructive feeling. And so I know I need to keep healing that wound that I have felt in my life, where from times I felt controlled by other people instead of being in charge of myself. And I am very much in charge of myself in my life now, very, very much. But obviously, that is a wound that came up in that moment and reminded me, oh, I haven't healed that 100%. And so that's my responsibility to heal that and work through my sensitivity to that kind of language or those kinds of situations. And so please think of yours, whatever form they take in your life, where you feel wounded in your relationships or in the interactions that come up, themes of those interactions, and find the place where you can uncover what really needs to heal. And then vow to yourself that you are going to heal that wound in yourself and that you are going to respond differently next time and not resort to unhealthy behaviors like blaming, complaining, criticizing, putting down, pointing fingers, yelling, whatever form it takes for you. Vow to yourself that instead you're going to be conscious of where you are in your life and conscious of what's real and true for you and willing to love yourself enough every single day that you take such great care of yourself in every way that you can show up in your loving relationships and be your best self in those relationships almost all the time. That would be a lovely a lovely gift to give yourself and anybody you love at all on Valentine's Day and every single day. So, if you would like to have a chat with me about what growth you are working on, I would love to support you with that. And I have an opportunity for you to set up a time with me to have that conversation. And when you schedule a time with me, you get an opportunity to fill out the midlife confidence profile I created. So we can look at what areas you're really confident in, what areas you're feeling like you'd like to grow your confidence, and we can talk that through in our time together. So just go to timewithcindy.com if you're interested in that experience. It's something I offer free of charge that I feel so good about. I feel like it's a way I can serve anybody and everybody who wants that opportunity. And let's get that confidence growing so you can really carry out the loving approach you want to give yourself and others as you create the best life possible for yourself. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. Please like or subscribe, Life Makeovers podcast, and write a review if you can, and share it with your friends. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Life Makeovers podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with those that you think would also benefit from what we're doing here. And I will talk to you again soon.